We are looking at the Tier 6 Season 9 Round 2, starting off with the feature race. Let's just get the display settings right, and we'll wait for a few of you to join us. Give you a few moments to join up. So we've got Vidvir on pole, with Moose King in second, both running the soft tyres. This circuit is very abrasive, so we will see some people on mediums perhaps, although in my own tier 4 there was only one or two on the medium. There you go, we've got Gin Tony on the soft, we've got Cunning Fern on the soft, Jimbo on the soft, Mike Michaels on the soft, Mutang medium. There we go, got the first medium runner in the Aston Martin. Okay, got RCZs there. Yeah, okay, in the Aero we've got Stuart soft, Smithy on the soft, Smithy, SD also on the soft with in the R8 as well. NSX, we've got Millsy also on the soft. So we only have one medium runner in Mutang. Let us see how this race kicks off. Here we go, got 4 red lights, 5 red lights, and the lights are out. Who's going to get a good start? It looks like Moose King's had an absolute shocker at the start as Gin Tony goes past into 3rd place. Vidvir still leads from the front with Cunning in 2nd. Jimbo 3rd now after Gin Tony's dropped down 1 towards the way in. Jimbo goes a little bit deep on the brakes and has pushed Cunningham through, but that's absolutely fine for him. Not so much for Jimbo, who has sort of made his life a little bit harder, as now Mike is right behind him as they go into the hairpin here where the famous Rosberg-Hamilton accident happened. The teammates though don't get too close to one another as we ride on board with Mike. Not close enough at all. Close at the moment is Gin Tony to Cunning in front of him. As they go down into this off-camber chicane, he's got a bit of a gap there. There's gaps, to be fair, there's quite a few gaps up until Mutang, who's right over the back as Millsy, as Super GT would say, turned left on a straight. But it's closed right up to the back of Mike, as we have Jimbo now on with a 2-second penalty. That is going to do him no favours, as now we have Mike with Mutang up the inside again on the medium tyre. As we said, he gets the move done quite nicely, but does push Mike a little bit wide, which gives Smithy the space to go through. Moose King also with the penalty here, so that isn't going to do him too many favours. However, he is still in and amongst it, and behind him is Etsy, he's got a bit of a gap to Moose King. As we go up the order, we've now got Vidvir out of the lead and down to 4th now as Gin Tony pulls alongside. We'll have to wait and see how this goes down into the first corner. Does he get it done on the brakes? He is very late on the brakes. Vidvir tries to turn it a bit early, but there isn't the space, and he's got the job done very nicely, as Vidvir is now under attack from Mutang. As we said, on the medium tyre, gets nicely underneath as they head towards this 180-degree corner. Up the inside he goes, very nicely done. Is going to be able to hold it though, because Vidvir may come back around the outside, as he does hold it around the outside and gets the move back down. There's space, but not quite enough for Vidvir. Mutang up to 4th on the medium tyre. Gin Tony sitting in third. We ride on board with him. You see he's not that close to Jimbo, but with that 2-second penalty that Jimbo has to serve, although he does make a mistake into that horrible right-hander that's nearly flat as Jimbo slows down and Gin takes the place, now quite a way back from Cunning, but you know, we still have 12 minutes left of this race, so that may not stay the case forever, as Jimbo slots into third and takes another penalty. God, I hope that's not a theme for him for the rest of the race, as Vidveer is right all over the back of him. Oh, it looks like Mutang must have made a mistake at some point. Where's he gone wrong? So into the hairpin. Oh, and he's had Jimbo up the inside, pushed him right wide, and he's just been absolutely abused here. It does happen sometimes, which is obviously unfortunate, but there's not a lot you can do about it sometimes. And you know, it is really a racing incident. There's nothing malicious about it. But so Cunning out front on a 41.7, which is a respectable time. Yeah, very respectable time, with Gin Tony just behind on a 42.4 at the moment. Vidveer quite a bit slower at the moment. Obviously we've got to let them settle into the race. There's been some moving up and down the order, so these times will get faster as Smithy just goes a tenth and a half faster through the first sector as he keeps his eye closely on Jimbo, because the half-second penalty is obviously significant, but it's not necessarily going to guarantee that Smithy can make the place up here on Jimbo, who's about a second behind Vidveer at this time in the sprint. So as we come through the right-hander here, and Smithy is quite close. I think he will be close enough, definitely, to get this move done. And Smithy goes straight through him, and there's a couple tenths difference between the two as they go into the horribly tight hairpin, where you're just waiting to get the power down at an appropriate time. There you go. These front three have got quite a gap between them at the moment. There's about a 2-second gap between each of them, so 2 seconds from Vidveer to Gin, and Gin about 2 seconds to Cunning, as Gin does his fast time of 42.0, but Vidveer is the fastest on track at the moment with a 41.4, which is a very fast time in his for this race. You know, especially because during the 15-minute it's a long time to stretch these softs out. As you can see already, the graining is starting on the left-hand side of these soft tyres, and that is not going to be doing any of them any favours at this point. Mutang obviously does have slightly better tyre wear at the moment on the medium tyre, which of course will go longer than the others, so he will be eyeing up Jimbo and Smithy. He's probably quite happy to sit here for the time being, knowing that on lap 7 or 8 of this probably 9-lap race, he will catch up and go back through on a better tyre with more grip on it. Etsy, the half-second penalty at the moment. Moose King is going nearly, he's getting up the inside to take that position. Is he going to go deep on the brake? No, he does get it stopped to take the apex. Oh, and I've gone. There we go. So Moose King does get the place. Now Etsy's under attack from his teammate in the R8, Stewart. With Mike quite close behind. Oh, we have lost somebody at the already. Yeah, so this battle here from Mike, Stewart, Etsy, Moose King is quite close at the moment. Smithy not quite close, very close to Mutang as he looks to get a move done on Jimbo. Darts to the inside, very lucky not to make contact there as he gets the apex very nicely there though. I'm going to go through this long 180 corner as Mutang tries to accelerate out, not being able to get close enough though to the back of Jimbo. So he will have to try again at a later date. But all this time, to be fair, Vidvir is pulling away from the two. Oh, sorry, Mutang's gone up into 5th. I didn't realise what happened there. Smithy's quite a way back now. And Mutang is, there you go, he's already, you know, his medium tyres have got, what's that, 15% wear on the front left compared to 45% wear that Jimbo has, as he gets it all wrong coming through the 90 degree as Mutang goes past. Although I wonder, was there a little bit of contact there? It's quite hard to tell what the difference is between a bit of lag and a bit of contact. So let's see as we go through here. It doesn't look like there's any contact there, no. So Jimbo's obviously just gone on a little bit too hot, and that has gifted Mutang 4th place as Jimbo comes in. Oh, is that a move? I can't tell. I think that was meant to be a move, made some contact and has left Mutang to take the place as Smithy closes up to the pair of them whilst they've been fighting, but has given himself a half-second penalty as Moose has closed up to the back of Smithy here. Let's go back to the front. Let's see how our leaders are getting on. So Vidvir is still travelling quite quickly, but the pair of them have caught up with Cunning at the moment, so this isn't going to be an easy finish because this is where the tyres are starting to go a little bit dead as Jin gets up the inside of Cunning, but not able to hold it at all. Cunning has done a very good job to hold it on the outside there as we go into this 180 hairpin sort of thing, and straight back into another hairpin, but Jin isn't quite close enough at the moment. They both do have very similar tyre wear at the moment on the soft tyre, so I wonder, oh, that is very close, not quite making contact there, I don't think. It'd be difficult to tell, but it did mean Jin had to back off because he got a little bit too close as they go onto this back straight here, where obviously in Formula 1 they get their DRS onto the brakes, into the hairpin. Cunning a little bit earlier on the brakes with Jin, so Jin has managed to close that gap quite considerably as they go into now this long right-hander, and Cunning's made a massive mistake of it as Jin holds the tight line, but Cunning has managed to get the momentum off the corner, which has seen Jin be demoted back down to 2nd place, and he's not quite far enough, but Vidvir has managed to close that gap with the two in front of him fighting. Is he going to have a go on Jin into the first corner? Yes, he is. He's pulled out to make the move, but isn't late enough on the brakes, and Jin manages to hold on to that position by a whisker onto, as Jin now attacks on Cunning, trying to get onto that inside, but Cunning's doing a very, very good job to hold it on the outside and has managed to get off the corner a little bit better, build a gap into this corner as Jin now has to go defensive to hold off Vidvir, but Vidvir gets a cutback as Jin went deep, and now is Vidvir going to have a look at Cunning. He's not close enough at the moment. Jin is very close to the back of Vidvir, but again not quite close enough to get a move done. Still got Mutang in 4th place with a sizable, probably 2.5, maybe 3 second gap back to Moose King, who's made his way through the places, and Smithy in 6th behind him. But Moose King is struggling on tyre wear, which Mutang isn't doing so as much. Neither is Smithy. Smithy's tyres are in a better position at the moment, as they're almost done with their 7th lap, and we'll head on to the penultimate one. Stewart again has kind of lost contact with Smithy for the time being. As Smithy makes a mistake there. Smithy's made a mistake there. We're just going to close Stewart up to the back of him, and then he goes onto the gravel, and Stewart has managed to take 6th place after Smithy made a silly mistake there, really. He won't want to make too many of those in the feature race especially. And he's demoted down to 7th. We have a change of leader. We're going to have to go back. We're going to have to go back and have a look at what happens here. So we've got Cunning. Got Cunning in the lead here, with Vidvir very close behind, and Jin in 3rd on his Billy. As Cunning's pulled to defend, Vidvir's gone left, and there's just not enough space for him to get it into the second part, but he's going to try and come back into the long right-hander. Not close enough at the moment. Cunning's holding on to that lead. Cunning's doing a very good job. Vidvir had slightly better tyre wear, but nothing substantial at this stage as they go onto the brakes into... which one's that? Can't remember. There we go, on to the brakes here. Again, not quite close enough to get a move done on Cunning, but he is putting Cunning under a lot of pressure, and Jin can't quite hold on to them at this point in the race. As you know, as we can see, all of them have got very little left on their tyres, so this is going to get quite rough towards the end of the race. Mutang nowhere to be seen, although he does, as we mentioned earlier, have a lot better tyre wear on those mediums. Maybe, possibly, he could catch up, but I doubt it, as Vidvir is trying to make a move, but Cunning defending the inside very well into the hairpin there as they go through the final sector. Vidvir managing to hold a much tighter line, which will let him come off this corner a little bit better as they go into the penultimate right-hander, and then onto the last corner. He's going to get a better run, I think. Again, both of them getting the apex very nicely, but Vidvir with the slipstream now is going to try and close up to the back of Cunning. Is he going to pull out? When's Cunning going to pull out to defend? There we go, Cunning pulls out to defend. Vidvir goes even tighter as Cunning moves back to the left to get the better line through the corner, and just about he's going to hold it around the outside. No, he's not. Vidvir gets the place done. Vidvir has got the move done by getting it up the inside into the first part, and then holding it around the outside into the second part as they go through the horrible long right-hander, and now onto the brakes for the hairpin. Cunning still very close behind him, but not quite close enough to be able to get a move done, and I don't think he's going to be close enough into this hairpin either, so he's going to have to try. Oh my god, no. What's it? He's going to be frustrated with that. Cunning's driven a nearly flawless race, nearly flawless, but as Super GT would say, turned left on a straight, and that was his downfall. Shame. There we go, we've got Vidvir with now a comfortable lead back to Jin. Now going through the third and final sector. Jin's driven a very good race. None of them have got any tyre life left whatsoever. Mutang has closed up. We did speak about this on lap 7. We did speak about this. Mutang on the medium tyre. Is he going to be able to get Cunning into these last two corners? He's all over the back of Cunning. He's looking to get to the inside. He does get to the inside. No contact was made. That was a very clean move. Well done, Mutang, for being able to get there, keep his pace consistent, and catch up to Cunning. Mooskin crosses the line 5th. Stewart in 6th, with Smithy all over the back of him. Mike in 8th. Nearly getting past Smithy. And then we've got Etsy. Oh, we've lost another driver, but we've got Esty, who's about to cross the line in 9th. Bit of a sorry sight, resting in 2nd gear. Obviously no rear tyre left at all, but that was an excellent battle for the win. Really well done to Vidvir. for taking that win over Jin and Cunning. Congratulations to Mutang as well for, you know, arguably making a very, very strong decision to go on the medium tyre, starting, I can't remember, was it 7th or 8th? I forget now, but you know, obviously having the medium tyre in qualifying did hamper him, but being able to take a podium is worth it, I guess. You know, those 10 points will go far in the season. As we move on to the feature race now, obviously we're going to start in reverse order of what we did in the sprint, and this is going to be an interesting one because there's two strategies to take here. You can double stop on the medium, going medium soft medium soft medium, whatever, however you want to do it, but i.e. running 2 soft tyres and a medium tyre, or you can stretch the mediums and the softs out for as long as you can and try and get the try and save time in the pits, because this is a big long pit lane. It's an F1 pit lane. It's not short at all, so you don't want to do the 2-stop, but to make a 1-stop work, you really either have to be fantastic on the tyres or be willing to do some terrible lap times on the on some dead tyres. Here we go. Okay, let's just let's have a look at what tyres we have got. Okay, so yeah, Vidvir on the medium, Tony on the medium, Mutang on the medium, Cunning medium, Moose King on the soft tyre. So we'll see him travel up the order probably, unless all the cars in front are also running soft tyre. Stuart's running the soft, Mike's running the soft. There we go. We've got the first medium runner since Cunning. So Smithy starting 4th on the medium. He showed a lot of potential in the sprint race, but did struggle to keep it on the black stuff, which obviously hampered the way he managed to move forward. Esty on the medium, Jimbo on the soft tyre, with Millsy, the first retirement, on the medium. So let us see how we get on. Okay, obviously it's a rolling start for the feature race, but obviously some cars will accelerate slightly better in this first gear. There we go, Esty managing to get right up behind Jimbo, with Smithy a little bit of a way back as he pulls to the right hand side, looks for the move, isn't quite close enough to get it done as they go into the first corner. Then they flick left for the second corner as Jimbo all over the back of Millsy now. Millsy on the medium tyre compared to Jimbo's soft. So Jimbo will be trying to get past Millsy as quickly as possible. Esty, oh, and Jimbo does go up the inside. I didn't think he was close enough to get that done. There you go. So Esty also with a half-second penalty for track limits. There we go. Jimbo does dart to the inside. Very late move. Gets a move done on Millsy, who's now immediately under pressure from Esty. Is he going to look for a move on the inside? No, he's not. He's too far back. But Mike does look for a move on Smithy. Isn't quite close enough. Smithy very close up behind Esty, but will probably wait for Esty to serve the penalty as... Oh, gosh! What happened? I think that started further back. I think that started with Moose King. Not under pressure from Mutang. Moose King going up the inside of Mikey here, but obviously the Constantima effect of Esty braking, Smithy braking, has caught Mike off guard slightly as we move forward. Yeah, the Constantimas caught Mike offside, so he's had to dive up the inside of Smithy, with Moose King already looking up the inside of Mike, and has made contact with Smithy, pushing him wide into the gravel, obviously not helped by Moose King. Does Mike go off himself? No, but Mutang does make up 2 places as a result of it, as Mike drops down to 7th, with Jir looking to go through as well, and he does. Vidvir still in 9th though. So Jin in 7th, Cunning 6th, Mutang 5th, Moose King in 4th, after the contact previously. Lovely Porsche here. Obviously I'm running a Porsche myself in tier 4, as Moose King gets up the inside of SD. Is he going to be able to make it stick? Yes, he is. Both drivers giving each other plenty of room as SD tries to come back around the outside into the last corner, but isn't able to do so. Moose King holds on to 3rd as Millsy and Jimbo lead out front. Jimbo on the soft tyre obviously wants to have a very, very quick and clean stint here. He does not want to get caught up behind. He just wants to lead out front, put as much of a gap as he can. I'm not sure who's doing which strategy at this point, but yeah, Jimbo will be trying to pull out as much of a lead as possible on the soft tyres as Moose King closes up the gap to Millsy, bringing SD with him. Mike not quite being able to hold on, and there is a bit of a battle going on back here between last race's top 4, with Mutang leading it on the half-second penalty though, as Cunning gets up the inside of Vivir, but Vivir comes straight back through on the cutback. And now we've got 2 pairs of cars really here. Mutang is gonna appreciate the slight gap between the 4, hoping that he doesn't drop right back down to 9th, as Stewart is also holding on to the back of these on the soft tyre though, compared to these 4 who are each on the medium, as Mutang serves a penalty with Jin goes through, but Mutang doesn't like it very much and comes straight back up the inside of Jin, which allows Vivdir to be able to come back at Jin. Jin doesn't lose a position just yet, but Vidvir, there we go, oh my god, Vidvir does get all over the back of Jin, and the fighting continues between this 4, with Stewart, as I said, holding on the soft tyre, as Cunning has sort of dropped off the back of the group for the moment, as we've got Moontang already. It's only lap 3, boys, bloody hell, calm it down, going straight back to go round the outside of Moontang, going 2 by 2 through that first section. Jin takes the advantage. Mutang now though under pressure from Vidvir, there we go, oh my god, under pressure from Vidvir, as Vidvir looks to the inside on the brakes but isn't quite close enough to get it done, as Cunning and Stewart still lying in tow waiting for a mistake. And who's that? Who is that? Millsy. Oh, Moose King's got past Millsy there already, blimey. But Millsy he's just got it wrong on his own here. Nobody's just helped him round, as he rejoins the circuit and immediately goes up the inside of our Stewarty boy, who's holding on to the back of Cunning very nicely. But Cunning's going to want to be joining this group up here, this 3 of Jin, Mutang and Vidvir, who are all holding each other up though at the moment. They're not doing each other any favours at all, and this could be helping Jimbo as Vidvir gets past Mutang on the straight after Mutang made a mistake. Is Mutang going to come back at him? He's looking for the inside, but he's not quite close enough. Oh, maybe he is. No, he's not quite close enough. As Millsy and Stewart are fighting a little bit further back. We've already had our first retirement. Stewart gets on the grass, but Millsy doesn't get a better exit than him. Cunning again trying to close up to this gap, but still not being able to do so, with Mutang dropping off the back a little bit as well. I'm sure we'll see him resurface shortly. Jimbo on a 41.9 out front. Vidvir looking to the inside of Tony on the brakes, not quite getting it, slammed up the inside. They're going to go through side by side, but Jin does manage to get the advantage as they go into this long right-hander. Vidvir looking for an opening, not finding one, looks to the outside, can't find one. He's going to look to the inside now, into the hairpin here, onto the brakes. Jin on the brakes very late, and he's managed to hold Vidvir at bay for the time being as they go through a little bit of argy-bargy, but that's all in the good spirit of motor racing. As they go into the hairpin, Mutang's closed right up. I didn't see that coming. I doubt Vidvir did either. Bloody hell, Mutang came out of nowhere. It's taken 6th place off of Vidvir, and then straight up the inside of Jin, as he does go a little bit deep. I wonder if that's going to hamper him at all. Not really, because by going a little bit deep, he pushed Jin straight into Vidvir, who's now got Cunning all over the back of him, who has now finally been able to close up that gap. As we look to the front, we have got Jimbo leading out front by a very large margin. This is exactly how he wanted his race to go, with a lovely paint effect on the Peugeot. Moose King on the soft tyre as well. He's going to be quite jealous of Jimbo's lead on the softs, but Moose King himself is being able to pull a fair advantage over Mike Michaels in 3rd. Esty is the first medium runner in 4th at the moment, with Mutang closing him down, but obviously Mutang, Jin, Vidvir, and not so much Cunning as Vidvir. Jin looks to the inside of Mutang, not being able to get anything done though, but he does have Vidvir all over the back of him. Is Vidvir going to look to make a move at the moment? Cunning not quite close enough. Vidvir all over the back of him, but can't pick a side, outside or inside. Mate, you've got to pick one. You can't go straight through him, obviously, unless he ghosts. Jin still in 6th place, all over the back of Mutang. The group here have been able to catch up with SD. I wonder who will be the first to go through though, because SD is a little bit slower than our group here, and I wonder if the first car that goes through, I wonder if they'll be able to break away from their competition or their sprint race rivals and go through the right-hander there. Mutang all over the back of Esty. I think he's going to make a move. He pulls out to get the move done. Later on the brakes, gets it stopped onto the apex. Very nicely done. Esty trying to hold it around the outside, but there wasn't much point in doing that. It was always inevitable. Mutang was going to get through. He stopped onto the apex, made the move look very easy. As we now go into the last few corners, Esty with Vidvir all over the back of him. So Mutang is going to be quite happy and is going to hope that SD can hold these guys off for quite a bit longer, as Vidvir looks to get a move done on SD, but isn't quite close enough at the moment. Jin's fallen away from Vidvir a little bit here. Cunning has fallen quite a long way back, with Stewart parked up nicely behind him. We've had another retirement already. Right, Jimbo out front then, posting some very nice times in the low 42s. These are going to serve him very well. His medium tyre competition in the 43s, 44s. Obviously now Mutang has been slightly unleashed now that he's back at the front of this small train, and so we'll see some more representative times on the medium tyre. But of course, at this point, we still don't know who is going to do a 2-stop and who's going to do a 1-stop. We have no idea. Lap 6 at 6 or 7 tyres on the soft tyres. If you are doing a, if you're going to go for a 2-stop strategy, that's what you want to be doing. So we'll see if any of the soft tyres, these top 3, come in on this lap and see what tyre they go on to, and see if they're doing a soft medium or a soft medium. Soft is Jimbo coming in. Jimbo stays out. Moose King is going to stay out. Mike is going to stay out. There we go. Okay, so the top three going for at least 7 laps. They may decide to come in next lap. But one driver who won't be is Mutang on the medium tyres, as he pulls a significant margin out over ST, who posts his fastest lap of a 144.4, but not quite as fast as Mutang in the low 143s. Vidveer all over the back of ST and Jin all over the back of Vidveer, as they are, obviously you can see by their times, they have the potential to be in the 43s, but with ST in front they're stuck doing 44s, and that's giving Mutang the opportunity to pull out an advantage. There we go, as Vidveer gets it a little bit wrong, misjudging when ST was going to be on the brakes, and has brought himself into the hands of Tony, who's not going to go for a move though. Or is he? No. Vidveer gets the late apex, bounces off the corner. He's not going to close up to ST enough though to be able to get a move done. And they go into the chicane. Vidveer all over the back of ST, but again not close enough to be able to make a difference as he plants the power down the back straight. Here's a long straight, but not long enough for Vidveer to be able to, as he pulls to the outside to avoid making contact. Jin sees that, takes advantage, and he's going to try and get up the inside into the left hand kink, but then onto the outside for the longer corner. Is he going to be able to hold it around the outside? No. Vidveer goes to cover it off, but he does go to get the cut back on him as we go into the final 2 corners, the last 2 corners. Jin not quite able though to be able to get the move done. Vidveer holds on to 6th place for the time being, with ST picking up a half-second penalty, which probably will allow the 2 cars behind him, although Vidveer's not going to wait as he pulls alongside, and I think he's going to have the job already done by the time they get to the first corner. He's going to pull back to the outside. No, he's going to hold on to the inside, as Jin also goes for the move, but it's too far back at this point in the race. Looking for a move on the inside into the long right-hander though. He manages to get his A-pillar along the B-pillar, but they're alongside each other now as they go down towards the hairpin. Jin later on the brakes gets it stopped to the inside, leaving a bit of space, but not enough space for SD to be able to rotate the car and get it underneath him, as they now go into the next hairpin. Jin in 6th, Vidveer in 5th, Mutang being able to create a bit of a gap back to Vidveer. But Mutang is slightly worse on his tyres than Vidveer, or perhaps the Aston is worse than the Mazda. I don't want to make any accusations about Mutang's driving, of course, because he's been pretty flawless so far in the sprint and in this feature race, as they go through the hairpin up onto the left kink. Still haven't had any pit stops. Is Mike going to come in? Mike isn't. Okay, so I don't think these front 3 then are going to be on the on a 2-stop. I think it's a 22 or 23 lap race, the feature. So you'd hope to be able to get 9 or 10 laps out of your soft tyres, which is what they've been able to do. And Jimbo and Moose King do have quite a healthy lead here for being on the soft tyres. The cars behind them are going to have to put in quite a mega final stint to be able to close that gap, and I'm not sure if they'll be able to do it. I think Jimbo and Moose King do have a fairly strong advantage here, but we'll see how the race plays out. Mutang still having quite a large gap over Vidveer, who has a not large but considerable gap over Jin in 6th place, with Cunning struggling to hold on to his competition from the sprint race as we go make our way towards the end of the second sector and into the third sector. SD holding on to Canning, and Stewart has already stopped. Stewart stopped on the soft tyres. Okay, so he's now onto the medium. He's the first to make a stop. When did he stop? Last lap. Okay, so I'm not totally oblivious. So Stewart onto the medium tyre. We'll see how it plays out for him, as Mike is the first to make a stop. Who's done something silly? Are you kidding? Mutang, I was just saying how you hadn't made a mistake. I was just saying you hadn't made a mistake all race, and you come to make your stop to, I guess you're on a double stop. Oh, that was silly. That was silly. But Mike also into the pits. Mutang into the pits. I'm not sure I'm a fan of him anymore. He's broken my heart. That was unbelievable. I can't believe he did that. Anyway, there we go. So we've got Vidveer in third now. Moose King closing up to Jimbo. Jimbo obviously struggling slightly more than Moose King on the worn soft tyres. Yeah, Moose King still in the 42s, where Jimbo has been in the 43s and was on a 45 last lap. So I wonder if Moose King's going to be able to get a move done here on Jimbo. Got to assume that they're going to be coming into the pits this lap to change over onto the medium. So I think these guys will be on the one-stop strategy, and if they're planning on two-stopping, then they're the world's biggest idiots. But they will be on the one-stop strategy. There's no way they'll be on a two-stop. So we've got to see where these guys come out in comparison, I guess, to Mutang, who is in last by quite a margin. So Stewart and Mike, who've both also pitted. There we go. Jimbo comes in. Moose King stays out for one more lap, so he's going to have some very, very fresh mediums. He's going to be able to push all the way on that last lap as Jimbo comes into the pits. Vidveer then takes over in second place. Jin will take third. I wonder if these boys are also then on a one-stop. Mutang could be the only one at the moment, and possibly SD as well, who are going for the two-stop strategy. So we'll see how Mutang comes out in comparison to SD, and how much time he lost. It looks to be about like a 5-second gap if you compare his in-lap of a 2:09 to Stewart's 2:04. 5 seconds that Mutang lost, being a numpty on the pit entrance. So it does come out ahead of SD, but I think it's also going to be on the two-stop strategy. Stewart now with a penalty. So Mutang will possibly take that place back off of him in the coming laps. There we go. Let's focus on our leader, Moose King, who surely he has to be coming in this lap on the soft tyre. Don't do what Mutang did. There we go. Nicely avoided the barrier. So Vidveer will take over the lead of this race. Unless he pits, he does not. So yeah, Vidveer will take over the lead of the race with Jin 2 or 3 seconds further back, Cunning 2 or 3 seconds further back from Jin, and Jimbo, who led the first half of this race, comes round the penultimate corner. It'll be really interesting to see where Moose King comes out in comparison to Jimbo. Obviously the two are fighting quite close together on track. Moose King will have slightly better tyres, but I think Jimbo will take the place as he comes out, and Moose King's right there, but obviously still accelerating. So Jimbo holds on to that lead, or the first place of the pitted drivers. Moose still in second place of those pitted drivers. Mike in essentially third. Mutang now past Stewart on the 42.2, and well, posting of doing 42.2 last time around, but Mike is also pitted. Mike is therefore in a net third for the race at this point in time. Obviously don't know, maybe Mutang will close up the gap, although it's quite a sizable gap at this point, so possibly not. Vidveer now coming round into the last two corners, with Jin still, actually I think he's pulling a slight gap on him. We'll have a look at the lap times this time around, but in the 43s for very warm mediums, very respectable times to be doing. 43.2. Jin comes into the pits now. Okay, so Jin's got a long stint to do on the soft tyres. Cunning is slightly slower than Vidveer. Let's have a look. What were Jin's times before then? So it was a 43.4. Okay, so Vidveer and Jin were on similar times on their warm mediums, but now Vidveer leads because I don't think he wants to do too many laps on those soft tyres, which do degrade very, very quickly. He's done well to hold on to his mediums, so well for 13 laps. Look to be in really good condition. Slightly better than Cunning's, but also Cunning doing a good job on there as well, as Jimbo is slightly quite a bit further back. Obviously Jimbo leading the pitted drivers and on the brand new medium tyres, doing a 43.2 last time around, with Moose 2 maybe 3 seconds back from him. So we'll see how that pans out. Mike still a bit further back, but Mutang not massively. 41.5 last time around, so he's catching Mike by about 2 seconds a lap, but it is a large gap between the two drivers, so that will take quite a bit of time to close it, or 2 or 3 laps, which I guess isn't the most time, but maybe. There we go. So we now have Cunning and Vidveer into the pits. Let's see how they come out in comparison to Mutang and to Jin, who's not that far behind Mutang, and I think Mutang might be on the double stop strategy here. Let's see how these guys come out. There you go, they're just pulling into their boxes now. Mutang coming around the last corner, as is Jin now. Still in the pits, just refueling as Mutang goes past. And as Jin goes past, where are they? There we go, Vidveer and Cunning there. Is Esty going to come out ahead? Yeah, Esty's going to come out ahead as well. But Vidveer straight up the inside on his brand new soft tyre. There we go. But Esty still remaining in front of Cunning for the time being. No, sorry, Stewart, not Esty. My bad. Sorry, Stewart. There we go. So Stewart in 7th place now on the medium tyre. Esty on the soft. Vidveer and Stewart do have a little bit more, or will have. Sorry, Vidveer and Cunning will have a bit more life on their soft tyres than Jin's, who's already started to degrade. And I imagine it won't be too long until Mutang is coming into the pit, as he's still getting ever closer to Mike, who's on the medium tyre. Mutang looks to be the only one on the double stop, which I am quite surprised about at the moment. but we'll quite surprised that not more people are doing it. It's very hard to make the tyres last, but obviously these guys in Tier 6 are doing a very good job of that. Mutang is going to stay out for one more lap. How many laps has he done so far? It's fourth, going on to his sixth lap. Oh no, sorry. He's got quite a while to go till his next stop. 2 more laps, I imagine. Lap 16, that's where I'm putting money for his next stop. As Moose King still behind Jimbo for the time being. We will see who's on the better pace at the moment. 44.5 from Moose King, 43.9 from Jimbo, but then 43.2. A little bit of inconsistency at the moment, but the two are both doing a very good job. Jimbo, with the slightly more worn tyres, obviously he pitted a lap earlier than Moose King, so obviously dealt with that threat of attack from Moose King by covering him off and making sure that Moose didn't undercut him. However, is that going to pay dividends at the end? Is Jimbo going to be in a better scenario at the end? And what is going to happen with our friend? So I think Mutang on the double stop, we'll see. So he's on a completely different strategy altogether. But Jin, Vidveer and Cunning all quite close together on circuit at the moment, and they're all on the reverse strategy of Moose King and Jimbo. So they're on the fast, soft tyres right now, and they need to catch Jimbo and Moose King, and that looks like a sizable margin at the moment. Let's see when there we go. So Jin has just crossed the line, and oh, Moose King making a move for the lead. But they're 13 seconds ahead of Vidveer at the moment. Okay, so Jimbo's gone defensive already. Only lap 60. I guess we are getting towards the end, but he goes defensive. Rests on his laurels. Moose King dives to the inside. Little bit of contact maybe there as Moose King pushes him wide. Jimbo returns back onto the circuit on the outside. Moose King in the lead. Jimbo's going to try and come back round the outside, but unable to do so. Moose King does therefore take the lead of the race for the first time since Jimbo pitted, that is. Right, so not for the first time. Moose King therefore takes the lead on the slightly better rubber, and he's going to want to try and push for a couple of laps here now to make sure that he extends out on Jimbo and doesn't allow Jimbo to come back at him. I don't know, there might be something going on in the stewards for that one. It was a little bit of a rough move. It wasn't terrible, but perhaps a little bit rough on the line between contact and argy-bargy, but Jimbo making a mistake there, so losing even more time, extending that gap to 2 or 3 seconds now between the leading pair, as Mutang takes the place off of Mike as they go into the third sector. There you go. I wonder if Mutang's going to be in this lap. This is the lap that I predicted he'd come in. Let's see if my prediction is right, if I've got a career in fortune telling coming up. And yeah, there we go, Mutang into the pits he comes to go onto his final set of soft tyres. There we go, so Jin now up to 4th, Mike still in 3rd, Jimbo, it was 46.4 last lap and a 44.3 for Moose King, so that's about a 2-second gap between the two. But Moose King does now have a penalty. That half-second penalty isn't going to be enough to pull him back into Jimbo's arms, but it is going to be close. Oh, Stewart as well comes into the pits. Stewart's got plenty of life in those mediums though. What's he coming in for? Not sure. Okay, so he's going to go on to soft tyres, I imagine. And to refuel. Okay, so he's on a 2-stop, and he didn't refuel. There you go, Mutang out of the pits as SD's made a massive balls up here, and SD's also going to need to come into the pits to refuel, because he will run out. So Mutang is about to take 7th place off of SD here. Cunning has dropped a bit of a way back from Woodveer as Jin now goes past Mike in the Peugeot. Is Woodveer going to also be able to get a move done on Mike? Yes, he is. Round the outside for the King, that gives him the inside for the long right-hander. Woodveer follows Jin through. So these two will now, if they're smart, they know, okay, so we've got 6 or so laps to go, 5 or 6 laps to go. Let's go get those front two. If they're smart, if they're in the mood for fighting, then they're going to battle with each other. If they're happy with 3rd place, they're going to battle with each other. If Woodveer can close up to Jin, that is. As Jimbo and Moose King head round the long right-hander. Jimbo has closed up that gap a tiny bit, 7/10 last lap. But Jimbo, Moose does have the better tyres at the moment. SD does come into the pits to refuel, and Stewart will probably take the place off of SD as Mutang is all alone in 7th place. Back onto the medium tyre. Would have expected him to go onto the soft, but nevertheless he goes onto the medium, and it doesn't look like he's going to have much luck catching up with Cunning in the closing stages of this race after his pit lane balls up is what it is. Okay, so Woodveer is slowly catching up with Jin. What does his livery say? What I want, okay. What does it say on the roof? I can't read it. I can't read it. If anybody knows what it says, please do comment down below and tell me, because I'm genuinely interested in his plain white livery with a little bit of writing on it. The unattainable is invariably attractive. Yeah, damn straight it is. 10 out of 10 models are always unattainable and very attractive, as Woodveer does carry on closing up that gap. So it was a 41.9 from Jin that lap and a 41.7, so 2/10 closing up. But Woodveer does have the fastest lap of the race at the moment of a 140.8, which is a fantastic time. That's really, really good. And Jin on a 41.3 for his fastest time. So obviously Woodveer does have quite a lot of pace, as now we can see the top two in the sights for Jin just ahead of us there, as they're about to go through the chicane, the awkward chicane it should be called, and there is time to close up. 41, okay, so about a 42 lap time for Jin and for Woodveer at the moment. 46 last lap for Moose King. Oh, is Jimbo taking the lead? Jimbo's taking the lead back. How did I not notice that? God, it was a long time ago. What happened? Ah, Moose just making a slight error, dipping into the gravel, and has let Jimbo go through. Okay, as we come round to go on to need to go further ahead, I reckon. Yeah, there we go. Okay, this is about where we were. Right, so Jin still in 3rd, but now they do have their eye on those front two, Woodveer and Jin. So yeah, about a 42 second lap. Let's round up for the sake of easy maths. Whereas Moose King, 46 last lap where he went onto the gravel. they're in the 44s, let's say, just for the sake of easy maths. So 2 seconds a lap. Jin and Revere are closing up, and it looks to be like a 6 or 7 second gap, maybe 5, I don't know, it's quite hard to tell. Time in terms of distance and speed, I'm not that good at maths. Closing up, is he going to be able to do it by the end of this race? 22 or 23 laps in the 40 minutes. When we cross the line here, we've got, what, 6.5 minutes to go. Is that going to be enough time? It's going to be 23 laps. I need to give up. I will just see what happens. But Moose King's definitely not quite, although he's closed up a 10th that lap, though he's caused massive problems for himself by making that mistake. He's lost the win essentially, and he could lose more than that as Jin comes round to go into the hairpin here, closing up very, very quickly on the 2 cars in front. Revere is a little bit further back. Now, the main problem for Moose at the moment now is not going to be getting the lead back, but is going to be holding off Jin and Revere, who are closing up very quickly. However, look at those soft tyres on Jin. Revere's got a bit more tread on his softs than Jin does, but those tyres aren't going to be very quick for very long, so Jin is going to need to get the job done quick, pronto. He needs to close that gap by the end of the lap, really. Maybe by the end of sector 1 next lap, and get the move done yesterday. He needs to get it done really quick, and then he's going to be into defence. This could be okay for Moose and Jimbo. They might be able to hold off the attack of Jin and of Revere as their tyres age. Revere massively falling off the back of Jin. I wonder if he's made a mistake this lap as he comes round the final corner to go on to lap 21. Yeah, that was a 44.6, so he's obviously made a mistake, or perhaps he had a penalty that escaped my sights. But anyway, so Jin now coming through the first corner, then through the second one, getting the curve very nicely, using full circuit width, as we then go on to the horrible long right hand corner, trying to travel some speed through it. Jin is now up to the back of Moose. He's going to have to start thinking about where he wants to make his overtake. As I was just saying, he needs to get this done pronto. He needs to get it done as soon as he can before his soft tyres fall off, because Moose King's mediums at the moment have more tread than Jin's used softs. Jimbo doesn't quite have as much tread as Moose King does, so he's going to need Jin and Moose to do a little bit of fighting if he wants to hold on to this win, which I presume he does. As Moose King drops into the gravel a little bit and gives Jin the run down the straight, and he gets a penalty as well that he will serve next lap as Jin goes up the inside, gets the move done. Moose looks for a cut back, is it there? He's not got enough space into the King, and Jin will hold on to second place after getting the move done into the hairpin. Revere is nowhere to be seen for Moose King, so he will be safe for the time being, and I imagine that there's not enough time for Revere to be able to come towards Moose. Is Jin going to be? Jin hasn't got anything left on those tyres. Nothing at all. Jin's now going to be defending from Moose. As Moose comes back at him down the main straight, he's going to pull out to the right. He's going to get later on the brakes, gets into the apex, very nicely done. Doesn't even force him to go side by side through the next part as they go onto the long right-hander. There we go, Moose King has got the better grip now. Moose King's tyres are completely dead. Jin's tyres are completely dead, and he'll be lucky to be able to hold on to the back of Moose if he's lucky. But Moose does, of course, have that penalty. So Jin at this point in time will be thinking, okay, just stay close enough. They need to get past, just stay close enough to be able to take advantage of Moose's penalty. which is exactly what he's doing. As you can see, the yellow bar filling up, and Jin will be licking his lips as he sees that get closer and closer to the penalty zone. As we go through, Moose slows down, Jin goes through and takes second place back, and Moose will take third. Obviously Moose, as you say, he's got the better tyre life at the moment. Jin is on his tiptoes like a ballerina at the moment, just being so careful. Actually, not on his tiptoes like a ballerina, on his tiptoes, but like a 12-year-old sneaking downstairs to get a snack out of the snack drawer when they know they're not supposed to. He's tiptoeing, he's being as careful as he can on those tyres. He doesn't want to get caught by Moose, who does have some tread left on his medium tyres. As we go on to what is now going to be the last lap, Jimbo, all credit to him, has driven an incredible race on the soft. Oh my god, if there was ever such commentator's curse, it was that. But luckily he survived, but he's done incredible. You know, he did what he wanted to do, starting on the soft tyre. He managed to pull away at the beginning, create a big enough gap that that those on the reverse strategy won't be able to do anything about it, as Moose is all over the back of Jin. Vidveer not close enough to be able to do anything on this last lap. Moose is looking anywhere and everywhere to be able to find a way past Jin. Jin actually has been able to get a very good run off of that hairpin as they now go through the chicane, and as they come through the right-hander for the last time this lap onto the back straight. Jin, I think, has done it. I think he's done it. Fair play to him. He's made that strategy work, and attacked very well on very hard used rubber. But it's going to be Jimbo who takes the win today. Jin second, Moose King third. But let's watch him as he crosses the line, goes through the final corner, clipping the apex lovely, using all of the circuit on the outside as he approaches towards the checkered flag and takes the win at Barcelona, followed by Jin, followed by Moose King, followed by Vidveer. So the top four on two separate strategies. Cunning takes fifth, Mike is going to take sixth, Stewart on the soft tyre is going to come home and take seventh. He's a little way back. Mutang in eighth, which is a massive shame because his first stint was very strong. Obviously the pit lane problem did not help him, as Stewart is now coming round into the penultimate corner for the last time, going onto the last corner using all of the curb. Very nicely done, clipping the apex, using all of the exit curb. Nicely done by Stewart to come home in 7th place. Mutang then is coming round through the last corner. Very nicely done. It's a shame, as I said, that first stint was lovely, but couldn't make anything of it to take 8th place, and Esty will take 9th. All credit to Jimbo for making that strategy work. Jin also getting the different strategy to work for him. Moose King, had he not made that silly mistake, just getting himself caught in the gravel trap, then that could have been Moose's win instead of Jimbo's, and perhaps maybe I don't know, maybe Jin would have been Jin would have been third and Vidveer would have stayed fourth. But all credit to those top four for driving a fantastic race. Well done to Cunning as well for that 5th place drive. Wasn't quite able to hold on to the pace of Vidveer and Jin, who the three of them were all on the same strategy. But all credit to him anyway. Thank you guys very much for watching. I've been Oscar X Bacon, and I look forward to